Dave Palumbo here for RXMuscle.com. It is the official 2022 Arnold Classic Finals post-game show with King Kamali and Lee Priest. We're back again after last night. I figured either we were going to get booed off or people are going to love it. They seem to love the post-game show. They liked the analysis. They liked all the feedback right after the show. I always love after a Super Bowl or a big event like that to kind of hear the experts talk about the show. And I think that's what we did last night. And, hey, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Brandon Curry winning a very controversial decision over William Bonac. Let's go to King Kamali first. Good decision, bad decision?
Bad. Straight up bad. I'll tell you why. Put King Kamali out of the equation. My phone started to go bing, bing, bing. I mean, nonstop. And everyone, people from all across the country, my friends, people from Instagram, everyone's like, please explain why Bonac didn't win. Please explain it. And I said, you guys are going to have to go to RX Muscle and I'll do my best. But no, I absolutely unequivocally disagree with that decision.
Lee Priest?
Yeah, I had, from what I saw, because we're just going off the video here, and then I guess people there too, but from what I saw on the video, even yesterday, Bonac looked like he could have won it. And today, I thought he came in, he didn't lose anything. He, if not, came in a little bit tighter and fuller today. And Brandon looked about the same, if not maybe a little softer. So if they say it was close, they can say it was close. But looking at them side by side there, when they just had the two of them there, pretty much every shot, Bonac looked like he was the clear winner. So
lights out. That's exactly how I saw it.
You know, I think the problem was that, you know, we had this image of Brandon Curry, and we knew that they were going to have him up there. I thought yesterday he was lost in that top four. I thought he looked a little better today. And you know what? In his defense, it was actually a good thing that they compared him with Bonac as opposed to like a Kuklo, because Kuklo, in my estimation, makes Brandon look very small. And I thought Kuklo looked really good. We'll talk about him in a minute. But I think Bonac and Brandon match up well. But I think the defining difference, at least in my mind, was that Bonac's legs are just fucking unbelievable, you know, and Brandon, you know, obviously has his legs are just good enough, but Bonac's got the glutes, the hamstrings, the flaring quads. I mean, that to me won the show for Bonac. What did Chad say to you, King, when you talked to him?
He said, basically, I'm going to condense it to just because he's still coaching and he's still Chad and he's a huge part of the industry. I would just say that he was disappointed, number one. And number two, he thought that Brandon was soft.
Right.
That was what he was saying. And remember, Lee just made a good point. We're watching off of a computer screen.
Right.
Okay. And it does make a difference because I heard from so many people in the 90s, why couldn't Flex Wheeler? Why couldn't Kevin? Why couldn't these guys be Dorian? And the answer that I got is you got to see Dorian in person on stage. Absolutely. He's so grainy and it's a different look. Don't look at the pictures. Don't look at the magazines. So we'll give them that credit. Okay, so I wasn't there.
Although
I have friends there. And they're texting me and they're telling me that no, this was a wrong decision.
King, let me just say one thing though, because nowadays, you know, the video is so much better than it was in the 90s because we have HD video and, you know, so it's better, but you're right. You're not there in person. So, hey, Xavier, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Welcome to Desktop Bodybuilding. We're looking at William Bonac posing at the night show right now.
G'day, mate.
G'day, color.
He gives us a green screen. You can't even put something behind yourself there if you got a green screen.
I don't know how to do that on StreamYard.
Put me behind you.
Lee Priest, if you're scrutinizing William Bonac as a judge, you know, was there anything actually wrong with him today? Or was this the best we've ever seen him?
I think it's the best we've seen him probably since 2019 or so. You know, it's like I said, from how he looked at the Olympia, he's made a huge improvement. And I even thought that because normally when someone improves from one show to another, they sometimes get rewarded, and he has improved from the Olympia. So I figured, looking how he was, like I said, you can if you're going to pick faults, you'd be just nitpicking. You know, no one's perfect. So, you know, to pick something on him, we could say this should have been, that should have been. Well, I'd only be like being all bitchy type thing, being, oh, this should have been this or that. So, but overall, looking at him, I think it was the most complete when it came to the fullness, the size for his height and shape. And like I said, his shape was good. And then his conditioning, I thought, was that little bit better than Brandon's. That's why I said, if it had been close, who knows? But I would have given him the nod over Brandon. And look, I love Brandon. I think Brandon maybe should have, in my eyes, I preferred his physique over Rami's at the Olympia. But today, I just thought Bonac just looked like the clear winner.
So, King, talk to me a little bit here for a second. Why do you think the judges went with Bonac? What if you had to speculate and come up with a theory? What would you say was the reason, and why they go with Curry?
It's hard to say, but I've been in these situations before. I myself have been in situations like this before, and who knows, man? I mean, there's a million different things that could go into this equation. They could come back and say he's a prettier physique. He's got a better looking body. Bonac is too compact. He might have better symmetry, but that doesn't explain the essence of the sport. The essence of the sport to me, and this is not coming from me. This is coming from Jim Mannion, and he said this to me when I won the collegiate nationals. He said, "This is a sport of muscularity. This is bodybuilding." Okay, so whoever wins the symmetry round back in the day, not necessarily going to beat the Mr. Olympia, because that's not how it works. It's a game of muscularity. And
you know what? Hold on, I got to stop you there, because you know what? You made a very good point. The interesting thing was that William Bonac won the most muscular man.
Exactly. And what did you say to me? You said that after that happened, you were like, oh, something's about to happen. I had that same feeling. Yeah, I said, "Oh shit, something's about to go down."
Won more most muscular awards and lost the competition than any other competitor out there. I think he's got like 6 or 7 of those things.
Dave, to go into a little bit more detail,
it softens the blow when you don't win the show.
Yeah, I have to go back and say what Lee just said a couple minutes ago. When they came out and they compared them, okay, just the two of them. It doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist, man. You go pose for pose, front double bicep, who wins? Right. Front lat spread, who wins? And except for side tricep and the abdominal shot, every pose I'd given to Bonac. There's your winner. In my eyes, there's your winner. I can't explain anything else.
Well,
I can say that. I mean, I think the side tricep and the ab shot, they're clear wins there for Brandon. But like you said, a lot of those other shots, the back double bicep for William Bonac is just nutty. Like, it's just so dense and so thick. And I remember I saw an iPhone photo from the sort of an angle, and you can just see the thickness and the density of William Bonac. And Brandon looks better as well, but William is just just so dense and so hard.
Look at the leg detail in Bonac versus Brandon here. I mean,
not just the legs, everything detailed.
Well, you know what? I think Brandon's problem was that he just wasn't as tight as he was at the Olympia when we saw him against Rami. If he would have been harder here, even though maybe he was a little more shallow on the legs, I think the fans would have been convinced that he won this show. I think because he had a little bit of, like, I don't know if it was water or what, or flat a little bit. I think he lost some of his wow, at least in my eyes. And I think Bonac had that wow. His skin was splitting, it was so tight. He had striations and deep grooves, and that's what we want to see, right? At the end of the day.
Go to the side chest. Dave, forward it to the side chest if you can. And that's a shot that Brandon usually wins, is the side chest shot. But if you go and look at the fucking side chest shot, you'll see Bonac was just he was 5%. I know for a fact that he was about 5 pounds down. 5 pounds down from yesterday, because that's what I texted Chad after prejudging. I congratulated him. I said, good job. He's awesome. You did everything you needed to do, but he just 5 more pounds, just pulled that a little bit more water off of him, and he's there.
He did look better. He did, Bonac.
Look at that. Look at it. I don't have
to side leg. Look at that side leg of Bonac.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. Again, you go on and looking at Brandon. Yes, he's a former champion, an Olympia champion, all that stuff. But you got to judge these guys.
Look at that back double on Bonac. That back double is brutal.
It was lights out. Yeah, it was lights out.
And Brandon's got a great back, but at the legs, Bonac's got the balance from top to up, upper and lower.
Yep.
Xavier, what was your theory on why you think they gave it to Brandon?
Well, I think that what you can give it to him on is the flow and the shape, and that's the areas where he wins it over Bonac. But
you know what?
You got to.
I don't buy that. You know what? Because you know what? Samson Dowda had fucking better shape and flow than everyone in the lineup. He just wasn't hard enough. I mean, right?
I think Samson. I remember I saw your prejudging review, Dave, and I remember you said that his glutes and hams weren't in condition as much as some of these other guys, Samson, and I agree. I think that Samson just doesn't have those lines there in his glutes. He actually doesn't have, whether he has the ability or not. I think they can be a little bit crisper, but I think that there's not the actual detail and lines there. But when you see some photos, they look sort of hard, you know.
King, can everyone get striations in their glutes if they diet hard enough?
No.
I don't. What do you mean? No. Of course you can.
No. There's some people. Melvin Anthony.
He just didn't get lean enough. That's all. I've seen him like from the side with striations.
Some people have. Look, it's a genetic thing. Some people have. Some people don't. Lee Priest didn't have striated fucking glutes like Ahmed Haider, or
he did when he won the universe.
But that's different. That's different than. It's just a genetic thing.
No, because he dieted harder for that show.
Did you ever think here's a theory to throw a spanner in the works because of the woke stuff and the cancel culture? They gave it to Brandon because he's black. let that sink in.
Dave, he was not at his. I mean, listen, all the stars were aligned for Bonac. Was Brandon at his best? No. Was he hardest? Was his conditioning at his best? No. Was he better at the Olympia? Yeah. So everything that all the things in the equation were there. Listen, I don't know, Dave. We all can speculate. I had Bonac winning clearly winning.
Yeah. Especially tonight. I think tonight really clinched it. You know, I could see maybe yesterday.
Someone just.
What?
I was just saying, someone just posted BLM, Bonac's life matters.
That's good.
They're going to start protesting and burning down Columbus.
I predicted yesterday that I thought that Kukla was going to maybe sneak into that third position. I was watching tonight, and I was going back and forth with Lee, and Lee and I were arguing. Kukla was great. I got to say, I would have liked to see him a little fuller, but man, I think this was the best conditioning he ever brought. I think this was the best overall look he brought. Even though he could have been a little fuller, I think he's the shocker of the show, really. I think you really got to say, as far as, I mean, of course, Bonac's comeback, to look his best is great, but I really think Kukla impressed a lot of people tonight. He impressed me. What'd you think, King?
Yeah. I had, when they pulled out Samson, Kukla, and Justin, I was like, okay, this is a good call out. Let's see what's going on here. I didn't realize Samson is so big, man. He's a big motherfucker.
Tall, too, yeah.
Samson is a monster, man. If he fills out another 10, 15 pounds, he's going to be Ronnie-esque. But, again, if we're talking about Kukla right now, yes, I agree with you. But I'm going to say exactly what I said yesterday. From the front, amazing. Best condition. But, again, he's missing that pop from the back. But tonight, he looked better than he did yesterday, and he was getting better as they were going through those, man. Steve was noticing it, and that's why he put him in the middle. He realized that he's coming on, and Justin's was fading away.
Right. Yeah. What happened? You think Justin just ate too much between yesterday and today?
Whatever he did, he fucked up. Whatever he did, he fucked it up. He should never do it again.
Yeah. Now, the only place right here, if you look at Steve's back double, I thought his back could have popped a little more. I think he was a little flat from behind, but the conditioning was there, definitely.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Lee?
Dave, do you think this is a better Steve Kukla than last year's Arnold?
Yes, because he's harder here. I just think he's got to – he's like a Dennis Wolf. He's got to get the conditioning, and then he's got to get the fullness too. You can't get the fullness before you get the conditioning. So if he does I don't know if he's doing Boston next week. I think we're going to see even a better Kukla next week if he does do it.
I agree. I totally agree.
I think Samson Dowda has that sort of thing as well, where it's a balance for him between fullness and conditioning. And if he trades too much of one and too much of the other, then he sort of misses his mark a little bit.
What the problem with Samson is he's just not big enough yet. So what happens is if he tries to come in full enough, it smooths him out. So I thought, I think if he comes in shape, which I know he can do it, he's got that physique. He can come in peeled. He'll be a little too small or flat. So what he needs to do is put another 7 pounds of muscle on his physique, and then he's going to go in there and destroy some of these guys.
Did you see Milos last year when he was actually prepping Samson? for his first prep, that he's getting to eat like 2 eggs or 3 eggs for breakfast or something like that. Like he was murdering him last year.
Well, you got to torture this guy and get him in shape. Once he's in shape, you can feed him. What people don't realize, you can't fill up when you're not 100% lean, because it sometimes just puts a layer of water over you in areas where you still have some body fat. And I think in Samson's case, it was his hamstrings and his glutes, maybe his lower back a little bit. But from the front, he was almost unbeatable from the front.
Yeah, he was great.
Side chest was insane.
Right?
Side chest was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Lee, what do you think of my analysis of Samson?
About Samson, I think he looks great. You know, when he was standing there with fourth, I don't know. I just like it because even like when he did his routine and sort of paid homage to Flex and Kevin and that other guy, what's his name? Sean, whatever, that dickhead. Yeah, but when he paid homage to them, I thought that was nice, and the routines and stuff. But yeah, but even in his posing, he has, like you said, well, if he can get full of muscles, he has like a Flex Wheeler type flow to his body and stuff like that. Some of the poses he hit reminded me a bit of Flex and that. And like, as King said, I think he's about 6'1" and about 280. So I know I watched the interview with him, and he said he's just happy to try and put on little bits because he wants to try and keep that shape and that without getting too bloated in the midsection and losing the shape that he has. So he's just happy to put on a couple of pounds if he can every show or before shows or each year. So he doesn't want to go the crazy route and just pack all the size on, then lose all that flow he has. So I think he's going to do it the smart way, and I think within time he's going to be, placing a lot higher. But I thought he looked great. I thought he looked a bit better tonight than what he did yesterday, even like through the back and the front of him. It looked like he tightened up a little bit more. So yeah, I was really happy with how he looked.
I actually thought he got a little softer from yesterday to today, but
yeah, well,
I think
you're an idiot.
All the tools are there for sure. But if you look at him from the side, because he is tall, he looks like he lacks King the 3-dimensional thickness from side to side, and that's just going to come with training. I think this guy might need another 10-15 pounds to really fill out his frame where he's looking 3-dimensional from the side. But when 100%. If he does it, assuming he doesn't have any injuries or anything like that, I think he's going to be deadly. I really do. I mean, because he's got all the tools, and he's got a good flow to his body. He's pretty balanced from top to bottom. It's a time thing at this point. How old is he? Does anyone know?
He's actually a bit older than some people think because he's only sort of got into it late. So I think he's about mid-30s now. I'm pretty sure, but because he got into it late, I suppose. Yeah. Exactly. So he's I think he's from the side, I disagree a little bit because I think his side chest and his side tricep are really strong shots. But when he hits like a front lat spread, his arms are quite long and he's got the wide shoulders as well. So it seems like he's got a lot of room to actually still fill out on that front lat spread pose. But from the back, like his back double bicep has improved out of sight because that was really his weak point a couple of years ago. Now it's become something that's not so far behind these other guys. So I think that he's made some huge improvements under Milos and obviously John Meadows as well.
Well, if you look at the side chest, what you were talking about, he's got the showy body parts, but he doesn't have that like freak factor from the sides, like the leg that hangs. He doesn't have like that. His delts don't look like 3-dimensional to me. He just has such nice lines and structure that I think it's pretty to look at. But when he has the density to go along with, Ronnie Coleman was really good when he was natural. But he didn't have that freaky density. When he got that freaky density, he became unbeatable. Now, I'm not saying that Samson can be another Ronnie Coleman, but I think he can get to a point where he's very hard to beat.
10 to 12 pounds, 10 to 12 pounds, and he's going to be right there.
I agree. 100%. What happened to Justin Rodriguez, Lee Priest, from yesterday to today? It looked like two different bodybuilders.
Yeah, I don't know. I think those shoulders jimmied up had a problem.
Well, they might have been
just saying, the shoulders looked a bit just. Everyone's going to hate me. Well, I just looked at some of the shots and some of those lat spread shots front on where everyone's shoulders like this. His shoulders just had a bit of, I don't know, there's some nice little caps on top where, I'm not saying it's oil. We've all had injections in our shoulders. We get scar tissue. We get these lumps sometimes that you can't do nothing about. So it looked a bit suspicious. But no, I don't know what happened. I thought, I was expecting him to maybe from yesterday be third or fourth, somewhere around there. So I was surprised that he got fifth. But it's still, fifth at the Arnold's pretty good. But yeah, I was surprised that he got that. But yeah, because I was thinking, Yeah, like I said, maybe fourth or something. I thought Sampson might have been a bit lower after yesterday. So, yeah, but like I said, he looked great. You can't really fault him on anything. I was about the shoulders, people. I was just joking, so calm down before you write in the comments.
You're going to get
King,
that from
look at his face. You see that puffiness? He didn't have that yesterday, right?
No, and again, I'm going to agree with you, Dave. I think he was a victim of burgers and fries. That's what I think he was a victim of, because it does look like two different people. It does look like he was way, way off. And there was two people tonight that I saw instantly. I said, "Oh shit!" One was Justin, the other one was Brett. They both look bad tonight.
Absolutely, Brett looked like he had the someone gave him the insulin, routine.
Something as soon as it's amazing. You know what this is what I've been calling insulin. I call insulin Halloween. I've called insulin Halloween from the first time I ever touched it, because when you take it, you're like this. You're in the gym. You're all puffed up. You're this, you're that. And as soon as that wears off, you go right back down. It's like taking a mask, putting it on, and for Halloween taking it back off again. That's what insulin is. It's
good analogy.
That's how I see it, and it's amazing, because when Brett walked out on stage yesterday, I said, okay. Muscles popping. Dave, you were ecstatic. You were like, he's
I was very impressed.
He's full as a house. Yeah, and me and Lee were like, well, let's sit back a little bit. Tonight, no. And I noticed a couple of other things, but we'll get into that. The controversial stuff we'll get into. I'll tell you what I saw a little bit more with Brett. But him and Justin, they look like they completely were two different people.
You know what the funny thing was, King? When you come in a little flat at prejudging, you go back to the room, right? You do the burgers and fries. You fill up, you hydrate, and you come back better. And I think that's what Bonac did. Okay. When you're already full to the max, which was Justin and Brett filled up perfectly. I thought they were like peaked out perfectly yesterday. If you go back and then try to fill more, that's when you spill over. And that's exactly what happened to them. If anything, they should have cut back a little probably on what or at least maintain what they were doing. I think that they went overboard, and they spilled over. That's
again, it's a genetic thing too. Like Robbie Lopez, if you don't feed him, just let him go sleep. Let him lay down and put his feet up and sleep. And when he wakes up, he's ready. Yeah. His body comes to life. There's some people like that. Yeah, I completely think that there's a misconception of eat, full, eat. And what happens is your body goes, I don't think so, man. I'm going to spill over a little bit for you guys now. And then when you try to incorporate or fix it, make some adjustments, you get more fucked up.
Lee, what was your experience when you would compete? If you looked perfect, were you able to, did you spill very easily? Because I know you told me you never really carved up very much.
I never did any carb loading. The lowest I went on carbs was 250. I'd sometimes eat a little bit more, maybe 300 before a show, but I'd always be, because I, had the shorter muscles and had that freakier look, I didn't have to be super full. I could come in for Night of Champions was the heaviest I was at 218, when the day before I just picked out on muffins and whatever I could find, I ate it. But the thing was, normally after a show, like the shows were 2 days like this, if I did feel a little flat, I would go and eat, but I would never drink anything. So from prejudging to the finals the next night, I would go eat burgers and fries, and I'd be that thirsty, but I wouldn't drink anything at all. So I'd just fill out, and I wouldn't smooth out. So I'd get a great pump and stuff. But yeah, I never pushed the envelope of carb loading, anything like that, because I said it's too iffy. Yes, sometimes it can work. Sometimes you can go the wrong way and it doesn't work. So I'd rather maybe sometimes be that little bit flatter and harder than full and smooth. So.
What I usually recommend people do is when you have a 2-day show, after the prejudging, you can go eat what you want, you can drink what you want, but when you go to sleep and you take your whatever, half a diuretic, whatever you're going to do, just to flush some of that out, the next day you have to really limit your fluid intake, because if you ate all that junk food, and I'm sure you're going to eat some more probably the next day, you'll hold a lot of water if you don't limit how much you consume. So I think sometimes guys think that, you got to hydrate. It makes the muscles fuller and rounder. But at some point, it does smooth you out. And you need at least, 8 hours to really, really, dehydrate and dry out those muscles. So it might have just been a mistiming effect. Also, guys haven't really done that 2-day format unless they've been at the Olympia. This was the first time the Arnold has ever done it. Usually the Arnold is Saturday morning, you prejudging, Saturday night you're on stage and you're done. So that
we all did the 2-day format before. We just didn't know it. For us, it was called photo shoots. Okay, Muscle Tech will put a contract this thick in front of you to sign, saying if you come in looking shitty at your photo shoot, we're gonna fine you. We're gonna suspend you. So you're in your room like this. Fuck. God damn it, man! I want that.
You know what the Chris Cormier photo shoot thing schedule was? Go out Saturday night after the show, get annihilated, and don't go back to the hotel room and just go right to the photo shoot after the club. And that's how
every Muscle Tech photo shoot back in the day too was exactly the same. They'd bring all these products, 20 bars. Okay, Lee, sit on the bench, grab the product, pretend you're reading the product. Okay, now grab the other product, pretend you're reading it. Now pretend you're taking it. And I'm in the gym, so I'd say to him, well, on here it says take 40 minutes before the gym. I'm in the gym already, so wouldn't I've already fucking taken it? And it's like, and you've done so many photo shoots of me eating these bars. Every year we're doing the bar. I think I know what it fucking tastes like by now, so why are you still taking photos of me fucking eating it? It's like, I'll get mad at him. That's why after 8 months I got out of the contract. My 3-year contract, 8 months, I took off.
But Lee, I have to say that, listen, you're right. It was a little bit pushed up to the limits of stuff, but they still treated us like stars, man.
And then Irvin Gilbert, I got in trouble because in the contract it said the photo shoots had to go for this long, like 6 hours or so. And after 3 hours, Irvin Gilbert and I were finished. He's like, well, what are we going to do? I said, well, we may as well leave. He got a phone call. Why aren't you and Lee still shooting? Irvin's like, but I've taken all the photos. They have to be 6-hour photo shoots. So Irvin's like, well, Lee, we've got to go back to the gym. So we go back to the gym.
Yeah, but during for me personally, it was chocolate. If that was my go-to thing, I would never. If I knew I had a photo shoot, I don't want my stomach because every time you do a photo shoot, the first thing the photographer said is what, Dave? Lee, stomach. Pull your stomach in, stomach, because you're like, okay, stomach, I got it. Because
the good photographers would tell you what I used to make Per Bernal put a mirror in front of me because I don't need instruction. If I can see myself, I know exactly what I look the best in. But the good photographers would angle your body perfectly so that you got really good shots. Yeah.
Well, Chris Lund would want you doing squats with no shirt on, and sometimes doing squats trying to hold your stomach in at the same time. It's pretty hard when you're going down.
600 pounds while you're doing it, right? Exactly.
And then remember these ones with Chris Lund. Okay, go down. You got 500 pounds on your back. Okay, go down. Hold it. Now come back up an inch. Now go back down an inch. No, back up an inch. I'm like, what the fuck? I said, I'm just going to do the rep, and you fucking just take your pictures as I'm going up and down. Just hold, stop, up a little bit more, squeeze, back down.
Classic Chris Lund story. Yeah. Me and Ronnie were doing a photo shoot. Aaron Madron was there too. So was Rico McClinton. And they're like warm up in chest. Ronnie goes and grabs the 130s to warm up, and I look at Aaron. I'm like, is he fucking kidding me, man? He's warming up with 130s.
That's like the 50-pound dumbbells for you and me.
Yeah. So I'm like, you got to go in the bathroom and slap yourself in the face a few times. All right, you can do this, man. You can do this. It's a fucking photo shoot, man. Shouldn't be like this for a photo shoot.
No. All right, let's talk about.
And the thing was, once you did the photo shoot and you used those. You'd use those real weights with Chris Lund, but every time the photos come out, they're fake weights. They're fake weights. You never got any credit for going heavy.
No, his weights were never fake.
Those were heavy.
Ask Jean-Pierre Fuchs about that. He'll tell you they weren't.
Let's not talk about that.
All right, let's talk about Brett Wilkin because this guy has probably gained 100 pounds in the last 3 years. I mean, seriously. I mean, I'm making a joke about it, but he really has. Aside from the fact that maybe he missed time, whatever he did tonight, he looked great yesterday. I mean, King, when you look at his physique, what advice do you give him now? Does he need more muscle? I mean, or is it refinement at this point?
To me, Brett looks like a small guy that gained a lot of muscle.
Which he was. He was a classic guy.
Yeah, I mean that's what I see. When I look at him, even when it becomes very evident when you compare him. When he's standing there by himself, you look at him, and you know how that works, Dave. You stand there by yourself, you're like, okay, freaky, blah, 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 blah. It's when you stand next to somebody. So when he got in that lineup, he kind of disappears because of the freak factor of the other guys, the super freaks. But he looks like a small guy that put on tons of muscle. Now, I'll give him all the credit in the world. I've seen his videos. I've watched it on YouTube. He is a hard worker. He trains like an animal. He's one of those guys that, does the leg presses until his nose bleeds and all that stuff. I've seen. You know what? I've been there myself. I puked hundreds of times. I've had nosebleeds too. I've done that too. Okay, but I just don't. I think that he just needs a little bit more time to get maturity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course it makes sense.
Yeah, he needs more maturity to his physique, and maybe the Arnold Classic wasn't the best thing. Maybe at New York Pro, with that fullness that he had yesterday, he'd be a crowd favorite.
Yeah, I think he did great. I mean, just for his first outing here, I mean,
yes, I'll give him that.
You can't say that he didn't make an impact, because I don't think anyone, aside from the crazy fans, I don't think anyone expected it. At least the experts didn't expect him to win. Although there were some people out there speculating that, he could steal, because what it is. It's an Instagram show. On Instagram, he looks amazing. Everyone looks amazing on Instagram. But once you put these guys next to the top Olympian guys like Bonac and Curry and even Kuklo in that sense, you can see their flaws. But I think he's got tremendous ability to do really well in the future. But what makes me a little nervous maybe is that he's maybe gaining too much muscle too fast. Is that a problem, Lee?
I don't know. It can be if you get it in the wrong areas and you get like a midsection that sort of expands too quick.
That's what I'm saying. If you grow too fast, does the midsection grow too?
I think some it does, because look at me. I could put on weight, and off season my waist would go to 45 inches. Contest time it was 29.
Yeah,
so
but you were just fat. You were just fat. That had nothing to do with muscle. You were fatty. You were eating Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Excuse you.
It
was fluid.
You weren't.
It was water. It was water. Thank you very much.
Brett Wilkins needs to continue to do what he's doing. He's training hard. He's eating. He's got a good coach. Mm-hmm. They have a good formula. They just need to tweak it a little bit. I'm sure he learned, just like we all do. We learn from every show what to do, what not to do, where did it go wrong. So he'll be better. He was
great at prejudging. Yeah. He was really good at prejudging. I was very impressed with what I saw.
And that's why they have to. Yes. And that's why they have to do more shows so they can learn more, not just 1 or 2 shows a year. They need to do more shows so they can learn how their body reacts more.
Oh, we'll get to Nick too. Don't worry. We'll get to him too.
I agree with King.
What's your take on Brett Wilkin, since you're a young guy?
Well, Brett, I think I agree with King, because he's added a lot of muscle very, very quickly, and the muscle doesn't have that same level of maturity. When he hits that most muscular of the crab, where he looks absolutely enormous, you see through the delts, through the chest sort of tie-in area, but it just looks blurred, and there's no real super hardness. Like, you compare that to like a William Bonac, his delt chest tie-in, and it's just 2 completely different things. I thought he looked sensational in terms of like an Arnold Classic debut, and he's obviously this is only his second pro show, and I think people forget that, and people just rely on the expectation of what he had going in, because people were predicting him second, third, first, and it was just pretty much all top 3 for most predictions. And that's a lot for a guy that's young, that's only been training for not a huge amount of time in reality compared to most of these other guys. And I think he did a fantastic job, to be honest.
I think what people did was they saw what Nick Walker did, and they immediately transferred that to Brett. But there's a difference. Nick Walker was huge already. He had to just he refined what he had. He had a lot of mass. Brett is still putting the mass on. I mean, like I said, he was a classic guy a few years ago. So in another 3 to 4 years, I think we're going to see him come into his own with as far as muscle maturity, size, symmetry, putting all that together. So I think it was definitely a positive showing for him as well, in terms of what we saw. Who was the biggest disappointment, King, in the show? Was it Regan Grimes?
No, because I don't blame that kid, man. He's all the pressure, the cortisol levels, everyone's future this and future that.
Yeah, they were saying he's going to win the show.
Yeah, I don't. No, those idiots that were saying that those things. You don't listen to those people. Those are fucking bucktooth jackasses, as I used to call them. Forget about that shit. The most disappointing. I don't think anybody really disappointed, man. They all busted their butts. I was happy to see Max Charles come back so much.
I mean, as far as expectations going into the show.
Yes. Because I didn't fall for it, but I could see it coming with all the hype with Brett. You know what? One of the things that he's doing correctly, I would give him props, is he's doing what Hunter Labrada does. He's putting his entire life on social media. What he eats, when he picks his nose? How big is the booger when he pulls out of his nose? Which hand does he wipe with? His whole life is on social media, and the kids love that. That's why he's got a huge fan. And plus, he trains like an animal. But like you just said, Dave, the comparisons with Nick Walker is what was his downfall, I think, just a little bit. Nick is a different animal.
Right. Well, I thought Regan looked really good. I think what happened was I really think they overcarded him a little bit because he was looking really good a week or two out. And I think, you sent me some pictures of Regan training at the gym today, right?
I was very confused.
What was it, Lee? Why would someone train the day of the show?
I just get bored. I've trained the day before. I trained the day after, and I've actually gone. Yes, I've gone from prejudging back to my room, had a meal, and I'm like, oh, it's only like 1:30. When's the night show? 7. I'm just going to go down and do a light pump on one of those multi-station type things, just because I just can't sit still. I just go and But people used to laugh at me because I'd be backstage. I was one of those guys. People would sit around, but because I was so bored backstage, I'd pump up 20 minutes beforehand. I'd just start getting stuff, doing this, go do push-ups, go over here. By the time I got on stage, I'm like, oh, I feel like I've had a workout. I was like,
fuck that shit, man. No way.
I was always doing that.
I was sleeping. I don't know what. You have too much energy. You lay down, you put your feet up, and you're like this.
No, I could never do that. I'd be walking around, pumping up.
I will bet money, and I have never asked Lee this, but he'll confirm it, guaranteed. He probably cleans the hotel room. He's probably in the bathroom cleaning the sink and right and straighten up the room.
Not just the hotel room. When I fly overseas from here to America or anywhere around the world, because it's a 13-hour flight, I'm in there cleaning the toilet. I'm wiping the mirrors down. I get the antiseptic wipes. I'm cleaning the toilet seat. I'm cleaning the floors. I clean the toilet on a plane because I get so bored. And before I check out of the hotel, my wife will get mad at me. I fold the towels and then I'll make the bed. She's like, why are you making the bed for us? I said, I don't want them to think I'm messy. So I make all the bed and shit. She's like, you're only going to pull it apart. And I have everything. Then sometimes when I'm leaving, I'll take the sheets off the bed, fold them, put them near the door. I get all the garbage cans. I empty it out and tie it in a big garbage bag and put it near the door for them. I just make the job easier for them.
So when you hear the knock and you hear housekeeping, you just go, not necessary.
Dave, the way that I was taught, the way that Chad Nichols taught us to do it, the way Amin taught me to do it was you bust your ass, you do the depletion, you do the loading, and then Wednesday you're done, man. You do your last bit of shit on Wednesday morning. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Yeah. Lee, all I did, I swear to God, all we did was lay down, eat, and sleep. Lay down, eat, and sleep. That's all we did.
Yep.
Wednesday, I had 3 more workouts. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'll get to the hotel in Columbus and I'd go to the gym and walk on the treadmill. I'd be doing all sorts of stuff. I could never sit still.
King, can you imagine if Lee did everything the right way? How great he would have looked on stage.
Lee is an anomaly.
That's why you got to. And then I'd go to the mall. This was my favorite part. After I went to the gym, I'd go to the mall in Columbus and go to Cinnabons, and I'd buy the big box of Cinnabons and take it back to the room and let it sit there to the next day, just teasing myself with extra icing. Yeah, I couldn't. Backstage,
but Dave, we all had our thing that we did. What did I tell you the other day? Kim Shevesky. I would go into Kim's room to see Chad, and there would be 16 boxes of Krispy Kreme donuts. And I would look at Chad, and I'm in my room eating dry ass fucking rice cakes with apple pie filling, and I'm like, hey, Chad, how come your wife gets to eat Krispy Kreme? Oh, she's different, King. She's different. She's different.
My thing was McDonald's, so everyone knows that.
But you got to admit those rice cakes and that when you're dieting. I said it once before.
Delicious. They're delicious.
They are the tastiest things. And how many times did you say this yourself, King? There's certain things like rice cakes when you're dieting. You put a bit of jam on or honey, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to keep eating this when the contest is over because they're actually that good. And when I get home, I throw every fucking packet in the garbage.
Don't start me with the fucking dieting stuff, man. I used to drive to the grocery store, buy an entire cake, put it on the driver's side. As I'm driving home, I'll do one swipe with my finger and then take the cake and throw it out the window. You know how many cakes I swear to you, I've thrown maybe 30 cakes out the window.
I did a bite of cakes. You know how bad I was. If I was dining around Easter time or any time, I'd actually walk through the store and smash all the Easter eggs so nobody else could have them.
Wow.
And I'd go past the bread, the fresh bread, and I would squash all the fresh bread and go, fuck it, no one's eating it.
I'm glad I wasn't the only lunatic, man. Fuck.
Yeah.
I want to say something about the Arnold. This Arnold Classic, especially the live stream, looked so professional. The way they had the camera angles, backstage, they had the desk with Arnold was sitting. I love having Arnold doing the commentary. I thought it was great, adding him in. Just to add the celebrity aspect of it to it, it was just phenomenal. And you know what? Arnold knows everyone. He knows all the history of the sport. He was giving his insights into Frank Zane, and when he lost to Frank Zane, because Frank Zane had a better tan than him. I mean, the guy is a bodybuilder's bodybuilder. You got to love that. And I also want to say that I love the fact that they raised the prize money. I mean, Brandon won $200,000. I mean, that's a lot. That's a huge jump from last year. They've really upped the ante over there at the Arnold Classic, and I was pretty. And I love the fact that they have the most muscular award as the Franco Columbo most muscular award. They give $10,000 for that. Best Poser Award, which was the the Ed Corney Best Poser Award, which went to Brandon Curry.
I thought Sampson's routine was better.
I was going to ask you that. Do you think that Sampson got ripped off with that Best Poser Award by not getting it? Rather,
I liked his routine, but I guess it's subjective posing routines, isn't it? Look at back in the day when you'd see Labrada do a routine, but Dorian would win the posing round. So it was like,
but the best posers. So King, are these guys morons not to prepare a posing routine when you got $10,000 up for grabs? I know you would have won every one of them.
It's easy money.
Yeah,
that's how I looked at it. I looked at it as fucking easy money, entertain the crowd, have fun. And as a little bit of trivia, by the way, I am the first winner of the Arnold Classic Best Poser Award.
Oh, I didn't know that. What year was that?
Yeah, I was. 2001.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It wasn't called the Ed Corney Award. What'd you win? $10,000?
15.
Oh wow. Whoa.
Yeah.
That
was my down payment on my Yukon Denali, man.
Don't throw dates out like that, King. Because when you throw dates out like that, I'm thinking, shit, I was competing in 93. Then I start counting back. I'm like, oh, fuck, we're getting old. It's like I actually get this is how old I'm getting. I actually get a cramp in my thumb now because when you go on to fill out your birth date, you got to do that thing where you got to roll back to the year you're born. And I get a cramp. My thumb cramps up. I'm like, fuck, how many times I got to keep going here? It's like 600 shit. BC. 400 BC. There it is.
Xavier, let me ask you a question. When you're going to obviously do your desktop bodybuilding, review of the show, what do you think is going to be what's your highlight, would you say, of the entire contest?
Talking to us now.
Both days.
I'm going to break down Brandon versus William pose by pose and sort of go through that. Sorry, a little bit, but I think the highlight was some of the competitors that came in, like Justin Rodriguez, like at pre-judging, mostly. Like he shocked me when he walked out. Like I was like, "Whoa, this dude means business!" Like he looked crazy. So that was a big shock. Steve Kukla, I think, it was his best of all time. Which for him, I think he placed fourth, didn't he? So yeah, so he
Sampson was fourth.
Yeah, Samson was fourth. Yeah, Steve was third. Yeah, so I mean, he didn't move up at all based on last year's Arnold Classic.
Shut up.
But Samson, I thought, he was probably the highlight competitor in my opinion, because there's a lot of talk between, a lot of the guys that dropped out, which was unfortunate. I would have loved to see those guys in that show. But, like you had Regan, you had Samson, you had, you can maybe even say Justin in there maybe as well. But a bunch of these guys were sort of in the same group, and we're all wondering who's going to sort of break out of that and who's maybe going to push up. And Samson was the guy to do that. And it's cool to see, because I know Samson personally, and he's, one of the nicest guys out there. He's got a great shape. And I think a lot of people want to see that.
I would have loved to see a comparison with in shape Cedric McMillan and a Samson. That would have been a great comparison right there, man.
I got news for you. I think Samson might have knocked out Cedric at this point. I think
at this point, yes, maybe.
I want to throw something out there also, just a little off topic a little bit, but I don't know what's going on exactly, but I understand Flex Wheeler is having some major problems with his health. he posted on his Instagram a story. He was crying. He didn't know if he was going to make it. I think he needed some kind of back surgery. Does anyone know what's going on?
No,
haven't heard. No.
Yeah, he had some kind of a stomach bug. He couldn't be at the expo, but he said he needs some back surgery. He was really talking very negative. So I hate to see a fellow Iron brother, hurting. So let's send out all our prayers and positive energy out to Flex, and
exactly.
Maybe
if anyone can pull through at Flex again, look at what he's been through. He'll go back to the car accident back in the day, and then his kidneys, and then the leg amputation. So he's a warrior. So if anyone can beat anything, I'll give it to Flex.
Flex and Ronnie do it with that, that constant pain. Like a little bit over a week ago, I hurt my back and I had 2 bulging discs. And for one full day, I literally couldn't get up and walk. I couldn't put support on one of my legs. And I was thinking to myself, I literally thought of Ronnie Coleman. I thought, I don't know how this guy does it, because that chronic pain, when you like it for days on end, it's like, it's horrendous. Like, and I had it for a few days, and they have it, pretty much.
And then it's like, as well as the pain, then you can't sleep, and then not sleeping, your brain goes fucking nuts, because as you get more brain dead from being awake for 24 hours, I had
a few of those days with my back, and I was like,
it changes your personality. Chronic pain definitely changes your personality, and no one wants to be in chronic pain. I got my shoulders fixed because it got to the point where it was like Lee said, keeping me up at night, and I just wasn't getting a good quality of sleep, and I was starting to get
it makes you edgy. Like, if people talk to you, like, what do you want? It's like you just get angry, you're like snappy, because you're just sort of on edge all the time. Not because you're angry at that person, but because you're in pain. Any little things like, shut up, I don't want to talk.
Right. No, like I said, Flex is a legend, but he's hurting, and so let's send out our best to him and really hopefully build him up a little bit, because this guy has been through the ringer. Let's talk about some of these other divisions. Rough Diesel, what do you think about Rough Diesel, Xavier?
Oh, I thought these guys were absolutely sensational. Like, the classic physique has just grown more than I actually thought it would. Like, when you look at the top, like especially the top 8, which is only 9 guys in this lineup anyway, they're all insane. Like, most of those guys walk into the smaller classic physique shows and easily win them. So it was just such a stacked lineup in terms of quality. And Rough Diesel was sensational. He's got a great physique, and he's being pushed by pretty much, the next few guys after him. So It's pretty cool to see. And I love to see it, because it makes for a more exciting Olympia. And I think some of these guys, I still think Chris Bumstead is the pinnacle. You know what I mean? I think he's still the top guy, and I think he'll still win for at least a couple more years if he chooses to compete for that many years. But it definitely makes it exciting, and it makes it more of a little bit less of a slam dunk for Chris Bumstead every year, because I think we saw it last year. There's a small amount of vulnerability with Bumstead, and I think the Rough Diesel and like Ramon and all these other guys, who's only 23 years old now, there's this huge potential in that division. And I can't wait to see come Olympia time how that looks with a few extra names in there as well.
Yeah, I agree. I happen to agree. And it's funny, when I went over to Australia and you were competing in the classic bodybuilding they had there, I had seen it, and I said, this is a great division. And I said, I made some comments on my radio show about, really the NPC and IFBB should think about bringing classic bodybuilding in, because it really adds another category that really is relevant. And they said, we'll never do it. We don't need any more bodybuilding categories. and what, flash forward 10 years or something like that. And they got
cha-ching, the dollar signs come rolling in.
They got a great thing going. Yeah, I think that, change is good. And I think the classic physique division is awesome. And I think it's
as great as the bodybuilders are in Iran, especially in Iran. You know how great they are, Dave.
Yeah.
Classic physique is taking over in the entire country.
Oh, it is really even there, huh?
Yeah, it's taken over. I get it all the time now. And what do you think of my body? It's not really bodybuilding anymore. It's more classic. It's more attainable. Number one, and number two is less drugs, and they get more attention. The hottie has taken the seat. He's sitting on top of the mountain in that country, and I think the rest of the country is like, okay, great, that's him, but we're going to take it this route. So
Isa Nunez won the wellness class. When I look at wellness, this looks like women's bodybuilding from back in the 90s, right? Come on, this girl. I love the look. Don't get me wrong, but it does. I don't know if it warrants its own category. It's like a female bodybuilder doing like
similar to the Tonya Knight look, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Maybe even a little beyond her.
I love this division, Dave. I love it.
I wish they would
Every-
hit poses, to be honest with you.
Every time they turn around, I sit there just thinking, I wonder what she does for hamstrings and glutes. That's where my mind goes. I'm thinking, does she do 10 reps, 20 reps? I wonder how many she does just for those glutes and hamstrings, because it's all about the training when I admire their physiques like that. That's all I'm thinking as a male.
People are wondering what you do for your arms too, and it doesn't really matter what you do for your arms.
I don't think many get a boner looking at my arms. Maybe some do, but you know, I don't.
Guys get boners looking at your arms.
Dave, I threw a curveball and I started a little controversy with a question. Can I do another one today?
Sure, absolutely.
All right. Did you or did anybody see the interview Fouad did backstage with Bonac?
Yeah, I watched
that.
Okay. He ripped his ex-trainer a new asshole without even mentioning his name.
Yeah, you're right.
He destroyed him, and he wouldn't let Fouad speak. He had the microphone, and Fouad tried to stop him I counted about 8-9 times. He tried to get him to stop talking, and everything that he said, from the second he started talking to the second he handed the microphone back, was Chad Nichols did this, Chad Nichols did that. Finally, I have a coach who listens. Finally, I have a coach who understands. Finally, he really, really tore that guy a new asshole. What's his name? Neil Hill. Neil Hill, yeah. He tore him a new asshole.
In defense of Neil Hill, when he worked with Bonac looked amazing. All right. I know that they had a personality clash and there was a money thing going on, but you can't put down Neil because Neil did a great job with Bonac, and he brought him up from the 212 up to the open and made him special. All right. Then they had their little shake up, and then Bonac didn't do so well, after that. So Bonac needs a coach. And you know what? Chad's personality might mesh a little bit better with his, because Neil is like he's like a very, very, you do it my way or you don't do it anyway. Chad is a little bit more, I guess.
Chad is, I told you what Chad is. Chad is, here's your drink it to here, and I'll see you in an hour. That's it. That's what he does. Tell you how to drink it. He's not going to tell you he comes into his room, he takes a look at you, he goes, all right, drink it to here, and I'll be back in 1 hour. He comes back, he looks at this, he goes, all right, keep doing what you're doing now, drink it to. Chad is very specific. And I worked well with him because I wrote everything down. Everything that he said, every little note I wrote down. I got piles and piles of notebooks of everything that Chad used to say and do. Yeah. And that's what when you have someone like that, like you said, who needs structure, it's perfect combination with Chad.
Yeah, I agree.
I heard an interview with William Bonac on Dennis James's show that he runs, the Menace podcast. This was probably, I don't know how many weeks out of the Arnold it was, but he did mention, that he's working with someone and he'll reveal it after the contest and all that sort of stuff. So that was obviously Chad Nichols. But he did mention that mentioned along the lines of, I could have been doing more of certain supplements, stuff like basically just saying he's up the dosage sort of thing. So that sounds like that's something he implemented from whatever he's doing before when he's by himself or with Abdullah. So
you know what? I like I said, I like to call it like I see it. I thought Bonac looked amazing when he was with Neil Hill. I don't know what they were doing and taking or whatever, but he did look really good. The whole thing is that Bonac's not good when he's on his own or
Yeah, but do you think to the time Bonac was with Neil Hill, all us bodybuilders, we're good, but then there's that period of 2 to 3 years where we're really good. Do you think maybe it was just that period that when he was with Neil, he was at that peak in his body coming into whatever it comes into? And then,
you know what, though? I'm more impressed when a coach takes a guy that's not that good and makes him great than a coach who takes a guy who's already great and just, it's like George Farah taking Dexter. He didn't do anything with Dexter. Joe McNeil is the one who brought Dexter up. And I mean, so you can't take credit for a guy who's already amazing. Now, Chad did was
a blind albino chimp could get Dexter Jackson ready for a show. Okay,
you really can't
take a fucking break. And a crippled blind albino chimp could get Branch Warren ready for a fucking show. Give me a break, man.
I mean, it's even like Phil Heath. How hard is it to get Phil Heath in shape? I mean, come on, the guy's a genetic freak. But the bottom line is, I mean, Neil Hill did take Bonac from when he was, kind of like a 212 guy that was not even relevant to a very relevant open guy. So you got to give the guy credit for that. All right, let's talk about Aaron Banks, who won the men's physique. The tallest competitor. This guy really has been surging. I had him on my TV show a couple of times. A great interview. Really nice guy. What did you watch the men's physique, King?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What won it for him? Because I thought the guy who came in second looked really, really good too.
Just stage presence.
Emmanuel Hunter was amazing. I didn't even know who he was until the show, to be honest with you.
Stage presence. Again, It goes back to what we just said. What we said yesterday, Dave. Who does your eye go to? You got a bunch of guys standing there, in the board shorts division, and you're looking at him, and your eye keeps going to the tall guy who's got this width.
He looks like an athlete, right? He looks like an athlete.
Exactly.
Xavier, that's your specialty. What do you think about why did Aaron Banks win this?
Well, he's got the height, he's got the super tight midsection. You look at his shoulders are still huge. Like if he hit some bodybuilding poses, he would look like a pretty damn big dude. Like, and I think that I suppose that the division is probably more recognized now by people that are into classic or into bodybuilding because these guys actually have a pretty big physiques. But it makes me wonder as well, like you obviously had a Jeremy Bundia who was winning year after year, and he was a much shorter guy. He was only 5'6" or whatever height he was. And then you got a guy like this who looks well over 6 foot. And I'd love to see how they sort of compare side by side. I think now the division's evolved and everyone's bigger, but I'd love to see Jeremy Bundia with a little bit more muscle to make a comeback to see where they land.
Can he beat a Brandon Hendrickson, who's Mr. Olympia now, the reigning Mr. Olympia, who seems to be pretty unbeatable these last couple of years? Does Aaron Banks have a chance, you think?
If Brandon Hendrickson keeps nailing it and bringing his best the way he has been doing lately and getting better year to year, then it's hard to say. It's really hard to say, but Banks does have a fantastic physique, and maybe they're looking for a guy that's taller, so they look almost a little bit less compact. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say. The judges are going to judge it how they judge it, and we can only guess. Based off what we see judged show to show. So I think that Aaron Banks looks fantastic, and I think he's something different, and I think it's cool to see.
King Kamali, you're a bikini expert. Lorelai Chapados, why'd she win?
I hope these girls don't get mad at me. I know they work hard, and I know they hit their goddamn glutes and hams every day, because that's what I tell my clients, my bikini girls. But Dave, I swear to God, 1st and 5th place, you can flip them around, throw them up, dice them, cook them. You could switch them around. It's just preference, man. Which type of body, which type of girl you like. Which leads me to the funniest thing. Dennis James, I got to give him props, man. I was crying laughing because he got sick and tired of that goofball who was commentating, who shouldn't have been there. And then finally, because he just didn't understand the sport. So Dennis goes, "Who do you think it looks good up there?"
I heard him say that.
And I'm like, "Oh, that's perfect." And the guy was like, he goes, "Who's the one on the right?" I started fucking cracking up. And he goes, I think the one on the right. Yeah. And then Janet got into it.
I'm showing you my breast, my chicken breast burgers. But actually, Laura Lee, look, I know she won in that, but the first I knew about Laura Lee was when she does these videos complaining someone ripped her off and then something this, and then she had problems with Sean and that. So congratulations, you psychopath.
You're such a fucking nutcase.
I thought Laura Lee,
hey, people say I'm crazy. I'm just going by her Instagram stuff. She's always complaining about a coach, or she's complaining about this, or somebody's after her, and this and that. It's like, Jesus.
You got to stop, man. You got to stop. Dave, in my personal opinion, Dave, when it comes to bikini, when wellness came out, I just stopped looking at bikini. I went straight to wellness.
Yeah,
that's my personal thing. I think wellness is off the charts.
Wellness is bikini with muscle. That's really
love it. Absolutely love the wellness division.
The final thing I want to say is that, I don't know if everyone knows who Jim Mannion is. Obviously, King, you, me, I know Lee knows him very well. He's had a lot of run-ins with him. Jim Mannion
I've never had run-ins with Jim. Now, take that back. I've never had run-ins with Jim. It was with Wayne. It was with Wayne and Ben Weeder and everyone. Okay. Jim's always been pretty fair to me. So I don't know why people think that I have this thing against Jim when Jim's always been good to me. I've always been nice to him. I've never said nothing bad about Jim. So, stop starting shit, mate. I'm trying to get into the Masters. Let me out.
Jim is like 78 years old, right? And he gave one hell of a speech that was so good, and I've seen him give speeches before because he's very low key. You don't really realize that he's very eloquent in the way he speaks. And he gave a speech to open the Arnold, and Arnold was so impressed that he's like, "Jim, I will hire you for the MC job next year." you know. But he really is a great president, and he's represented. We don't always agree with everything he says, and that's fine, but we respect what he says, and he did a great job. He looks great. I always tell him because we call each other on our birthday because we got the same birthday, and I'm always like, Jim, man, if I only looked as young as you did, because the guy doesn't age. He's unbelievable.
How old is he? Don't
forget about Dee Schneider too. That was a good performance.
My friend Ronnie Starantino, I went to high school with. Okay, went into bodybuilding, and then he got into like helping all the celebrities.
I hope this is relevant to what I just said, and you're not just
he's best friends with Dee Schneider, and Ronnie's one of these guys who he's always with the celebrities. He was on the set of Sons of Anarchy, all those guys, but he's always been very tight with Dee Schneider. When I heard that Dee Schneider was performing at the Arnold this year, which I'm sure Ronnie had something to do with, because Ronnie used to be an official when Wayne DeMille used to run all the stuff. I said, you know what? I said, I guarantee Ronnie somehow orchestrated this. And finally, they got a freaking, a show, because they always had those guys who did the acrobatic stuff. It was so boring every year. They finally was smart enough to get a rock guy or a musician or, I don't know why it took them so long to figure this out. That's what people want to see. Cool shit like that. Great.
That's what they're doing at the Boston next week.
What?
I still think one of the best, the goosebumps feelings that I've ever had was when I think it was the second Arnold Classic, the third Arnold Classic that I went to. I went with my my trainer at the time, my training partner, may he rest in peace. And it's when that big screen came down and they started playing Pump the Jam, Pump It, and they showed every pro who was competing, training for the show.
Oh,
that was fucking amazing.
Yeah, that takes a lot of work. Yeah, that takes a lot of
God, that was so good. I think Mitsudo had something to do with that.
But I never understood why they hadn't had like some kind of a singer or a rock presentation like before. It's so logical. Bodybuilding is so extreme. It's a great idea. Every year they should try to bring some celebrity, even if it's like the old rock and roll guys, that are not like, necessarily that relevant anymore. Who cares? I mean, wouldn't you love to see like some top guys like from the
Ozzy Osbourne?
Maybe Ozzy Osbourne, yeah. I mean, there's so many people that have connections to bodybuilding. You'd be surprised, So
Kevin's a great singer. Get Leverone up there to sing. He's a great singer.
Yeah. Get him in Pearl Jam. You can get them to sing together. Get the Spice Girls back. Get the Spice Girls out of retirement.
Why
not? Before you go on too, because King was saying now, people in the comments, how they like King and I on here. And I suggested before we come on that King and I do a segment like Sid and Dave do, Ask Dave. But now I've just got it because the three of us are here. You're not here, Dave. Yeah. Xavier can be like the moderator and King and I can give our opinions every week on anything.
There you go. I'm all for it. You up for it, Xavier?
It's the new show. It's the new show called Talking Shit with Lee and King. Or King and Lee.
Shit. I like that.
Great way to get banned off YouTube.
Or like King and Priest or something like that. We got to come up with like some kind of.
Because no matter what we say, people are going to say, "Oh, you're talking shit." So that's why the show's called Talking Shit. You dickheads, so piss off.
Plus, another thing that we do is we agree to disagree sometimes. Dave says something, and I'm like, "No, I don't agree with you."
You got to Xavier. You'll have to find really controversial topics that that they're going to both be very outspoken on. That's how it would go.
I feel like the topics will be made controversial regardless. Like it doesn't matter.
You're right.
What do you mean?
If it's not controversial enough, you just remind Lee about when he tied his penis to a coffee table when he did cocaine one time. And that'll bring it right
I blame the drugs.
The drugs. It's always the drugs.
Well, I want to thank all you guys for taking time out of your schedules on Friday and Saturday night. And thank you, Xavier, for joining us today. The post-game wrap-ups have been very popular, and I think it really helps solidify, what happened at the show. And, of course, John Hansen will be – I saw him interviewing Brandon Curry. That interview will be up, plus their wrap-up directly from the auditorium will be up tomorrow morning. For now, though, we are out of time. Lee.
When's my diet start with Chris Aceto? When's his comeback? When's his transformation start?
Monday.
Two. I got two things to say before we go. Just real quick. Number one,
Oh,
Chad Nichols.
fuck. That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, you gotta start eating, yeah.
Chad Nichols, William Bonac. I think you guys did a great job. William, you should have won. And number two, peace to my boy in Florida, G Money. We're going to Vegas for the first time for the Olympia. See you there.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, King's back in Vegas. Look out.
We got to go get some sleep here in the United States. Lee is heading to Kentucky Fried Chicken to load up because he starts his diet tomorrow.
I'm already loading up.
We'll see you guys next time.